Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Quentin Tarantino's 9th movie, and it tells the story of Rick Dalton, a once very famous actor who just isn't as famous anymore. He isn't landing any big movie roles anymore, and to him, it feels like Hollywood has just seemed to forget about him a little bit. And because of that, he feels depressed. He thinks he's useless, a has-been. Rick Dalton is played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Cliff Booth, the stuntman, aka Rick Dalton's best friend, is played by none other than Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie portrays Sharon Tate. Yes, this movie takes place right around the exact same time when Sharon Tate was tragically murdered. And to be honest, when I first found out that this movie was somehow going to be related to the Manson murders, I didn't really know how to feel about that. Tarantino likes making bloody movies, so I was thinking, is this going to be some sick and twisted way of glorifying Charles Manson? And I was pleasantly surprised to find out that it wasn't. This movie doesn't really focus on Charles Manson at all. We're focused mainly on the lives of Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth. For the majority of the movie, we just watch these two guys live. We see their great friendship. We see how Cliff is always motivating Rick to stay positive and to remember that he's the shit. And I love that. I think everyone in life should have a friend like Cliff Booth. Hey, you're Alex f***ing Bates. Don't you forget it. We see them just hang out and watch TV, and it's not boring. Honestly, some of these scenes are long, and it may seem like not much is really going on at all, but it's just entertaining seeing them together. Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio are probably the best on-screen duo I've seen in a little while. Brad Pitt brings this really cool, laid-back, chill vibe to his character, and it feels like he's not even trying. He seems so relaxed, and it gives you the sense that he's just a down-to-earth guy who's happy and content with being Rick Dalton's stunt double and best friend. That's the main thing I noticed about Cliff Booth. At first, I kind of felt bad, because while Rick Dalton's out sometimes shooting movies, sometimes there's not much for Cliff to do, so Rick will have Cliff do small chores around his house or something in the meantime. So yeah, at first I was like, dang, poor guy, but the longer the movie goes on, you realize Cliff is happy. He doesn't have a care in the world. He's happy to climb up on Rick's roof and fix his antenna because he's a good friend. It's also noted in the movie that Cliff Booth is dangerous, and I won't get into spoilers, but by the way that Brad Pitt plays the character, you kind of look at him and know that more than likely what everybody else is saying about him is probably true. He seems like a badass that could kill you without breaking a sweat. But Leonardo DiCaprio though, my God, there are certain actors out there that are just on another level. Leonardo DiCaprio has proven time after time again that he's one of those actors. He is so good at what he does, and it feels like a pleasure to get to see him on the big screen. It's like every time he's in a movie, people immediately start talking about giving him an Oscar. And that's because every time he gives nothing but Oscar-worthy performances. His character is kind of broken. He's angry and bitter, not just at Hollywood, but at himself. He's hard on himself, and he wants to be the best. And what Leo brings to the character is so hilarious, but also heart-touching. Scenes that aren't even meant to be that funny will make you bust out laughing just because of the way DiCaprio delivers a line of dialogue. He'll make you laugh just by the way he pronounces a word. And there is one scene in this movie where he's on set filming a scene and he has a meltdown that is so funny. You would think Leonardo DiCaprio is a comedian. But let's talk about Sharon Tate real quick. Sharon Tate was a real person in real life, if you didn't know that, but she's a character in this movie. She's not really a character. She's portrayed as a real person, if that makes sense. She's not there to deliver funny lines. She's not there to add really anything to Cliff or Rick's story. She's just there, walking around the streets of Hollywood, shopping, laughing, dancing in her room, listening to music, just enjoying life. And some viewers might find that pointless. Some may watch this and think Margot Robbie wasn't given much to work with, but I completely disagree. First of all, I think Margot Robbie was the only person in the world that could have played Sharon Tate. She brought life back to Sharon Tate. When she's sitting there in the theater watching herself on the big screen giggling, you get to see her for who she really was. You get to see her as a person who is excited to be in Hollywood. Whereas, in most cases, unfortunately, a lot of people only remember her as one of the women that was killed by the Mansons. I thought it was very nice and surprising to see Tarantino show us the way Sharon Tate should be remembered. As I said before, most of the movie just follows Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth's day-to-day lives, and to some that may be boring. At times it may feel like, what's the point of this movie? Where is this going? But because of Sharon Tate being in the movie, you know in the back of your head where this movie is eventually going to end. So in some way you're anticipating what you know will be a tragic ending. And I won't spoil it, but I will say it takes a different turn that is a huge payoff. I don't know why I'm worried about spoiling anything. The movie's been out for a while. I'm sure you've seen it already. Now, last but not least, Quentin Tarantino. The director of this movie has proven yet again that he is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. His direction here is flawless. You can tell right away that this guy had a vision for how he wanted to tell this story. He's got this stamp he puts on his movies, right? You can always tell it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. If nobody would have told me that this movie was directed by Quentin Tarantino, it wouldn't matter, because 5 minutes into it, I'd be able to tell it's a Tarantino movie. Although I'll say this is definitely not like any of his other films. To me, it seems like this story was very close to his heart. It's slower. There's not as much crazy over-the-top stuff that you're used to seeing in his other flicks. Why did I just say flicks? And I'm not gonna say the whole this is his love letter to Hollywood thing that everybody keeps saying. I hate it when people say that. But yes, you can tell while watching this that Quentin obviously has a lot of love and passion for Hollywood and cinema. Every song choice was perfect. The locations were gorgeous. The details and everything make you feel like this movie was shot in the 60s. Movies like this are a reminder that there's still reasons to get out and go to the theater. I very much enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I've seen it twice already. I do plan on going to see it one more time before it leaves the theater. If you haven't seen this movie yet, go watch it. And if you have seen it again, be like me, go watch it again. But that is it for today's movie review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, comment down below. I want to know, what's your favorite Quentin Tarantino movie? Mine, it's hard not to say Pulp Fiction, but that's such a cliche answer, so I'm gonna say either Reservoir Dogs or Hateful Eight. Anyways, I'm out of here. Have a great day. Go watch some movies, and I'll see you on the next video.